Hey Siri, put Sunstay on 100%. You know how we bring it in? We always bring it in on the record. That was Michael Kiwanuka. Hold one sec. That was Follow Your Dreams off Small Changes. And that is probably the biggest takeaway, biggest advice I'd give to anyone is just hold your creative identities in balance and don't forsake other ways of showing up for a singular way of showing up. It's been a minute. We're not even going to get into it. We're not even going to talk about it. I'm going to start a series because the thing that helped me last time to stay consistent was to start a series and to shoot things in excess. Would you believe that there are videos that I shot, what was that, 2023? That I still have not edited to this day. We are in 2025. So just because I shoot it, I learn doesn't mean I'm going to edit it. However, we're going to be better this time. I'm going to couple it with a lot of things that I'm thinking about, but I'm just going to start. And today is the day that I just start. I feel like I kind of want to make it a little casual at first. I'll just talk about what I'm reading right now, and then I'll kind of get into my thoughts about the things that I'm trying to work on in this month. We are in December. This is December 2nd, 2025. 2025 was supposed to be the year that changed my life. However, did the year change my life? Or did my life change the year? That didn't work. But what I'm trying to say is this year was a doozy. All I could do was just keep up and survive. Like, nothing about this year gave what I thought it was going to give. But there's a part of me that just feels like it's the building blocks. I mean, it has to be. We have to keep going. So we have to keep looking forward to the year. I'm done trying to be nonchalant about looking forward to the meaning and significance of years. We are alive and we're trying to get through. And so I do feel like it's the building blocks. It was just a lot of L's. This year was a lot of L's. And I think it's just like the reality is when your back is against the wall, you act a little differently, you move a little differently. And so that's the only thing I can hope comes out of this year is that my delusion grows even more. Anyways, I feel like I want to talk about things that I've been reading. Some of these are related to school. Oh, if you don't know, I'm Kim. I was a former freelance video director, editor, creative, did that in Atlanta for 8 years. And I am just a little bit over my first year in London. I've gone back to art school to pursue my personal video art practice. And really, it's now more of a fine art practice because I've moved in different directions through different mediums beyond video. So textile, screen printing, and now sound. Which brings me to some books I've been reading. I'll talk about really all of these are books that I've been reading for school and in relation to practice, but I'll start with this one. I've been trying to finish this book for a year. It's really dense. Margot Natalie Crawford, but it's the Black Post Blackness book. Really, really incredible. I feel like anyone that is a Black artist should read this. Is that too much to say? But I do think that it really changes your perspective to understand your work in a canon of the Black art that has existed before you. I think it should be your due diligence to look into that, to investigate that, to read about that, to learn about that. And it talks about the Black arts movement, and the Black post-Blackness movement talks about where we're kind of heading in relation to the Black arts movement. And there are a lot of things that have really changed my perspective about Black arts through reading this book. And you could really read, I've read 7 pages and it like stuck with me so much that I used it in my paper. And that was all I had from this book until recently when I actually sat down to read a bit more of it. But it basically frees like Black arts movements from being completely connected to this desire of future. And I think like it's a necessary book, it's a necessary topic. I think you should read it. I also got a mini Kindle. Someone clap for me. It's supposed to help me read more on the go. Has it? Kind of, but not maybe as much as it should, I guess. Anyways, this book, I'm trying to find the cover page. This book is called Sonderland, and it was referenced in the Black Post-Blackness book. And so I just read the first chapter yesterday. Really interesting. It's a fiction book, and I'm trying to read a little bit more fiction. And so I can't recommend it yet, but it's called Slumberland. Sorry, I said Sonderland. Slumberland by Paul Beatty. So that's the book. It's the first one there in the corner, and you can probably see some of the other books that I have saved as samples that I haven't yet read. Finally getting to Octavia Butler, Parable of the Sower. This is a book that has come highly recommended, and so I haven't started it yet, but it's my next read after Slumberland. And I'm reading Slumberland because it's in connection to the Black Post-Blackness books, and I have a presentation next week. So I'm prioritizing that before I get to Octavia Butler, but everyone has recommended it. And so, yeah, this is another one recommended by my friend. Soren Kierkegaard is a really cool philosopher, and he, I believe he's coined for like coming up with the term angst. However, he's just interesting philosopher and talks a lot about time. That was like my first introduction to his work. And this one is more so about the present age. If I'm being honest, there's like a few quotes and moments in this book that really stood out. I feel like it's a book that I need to read again and again to fully be able to digest. So, on to some other things. So, one of the things that I feel like I've learned about myself during this transition year is that transitions are really hard for me. And the first to third year of a transition, it really throws me for a loop. But somehow I've been attracted to them because at about every 8 years in my life, I noticed there's a pattern of like quite dramatic shift, which started at 8 years old, 8/9, when I moved to the States from Jamaica. And so I think ever since then, like every 8 years or so outside of like leaving New York after undergrad, lots of life changes have happened at year 8. And so I moved here after 8 years of living in Atlanta. And so navigating London and navigating this next shift is interesting. I can't say right now whether or not I'll be here for 8 years. I don't know. But the reality is I feel like I'm like putting training wheels on again. Some of the positive things is that I do know that I feel settled because I've started to cook at home more. I'm more comfortable with not being outside, despite what it may look like on Instagram sometimes. And a lot of weekends, I just like to stay in my neighborhood and go to the farmer's market and just do things that make me feel like I'm a part of a community and have a sense of routine. And so as ADHD brain and distracted as I can be at times, especially during dramatic shifts, I realize like I like the freedom within routines and within structure. So I decided to write out 80 lessons that I've learned through my creative freelance years. So I'm trying to reflect a lot on things throughout the past 8 years, or 8 years while I was in Atlanta. So, yeah, to just kind of think through what I would tell people that are looking to approach freelance or any sort of like independent direction in their creative and artistic life. And I feel like until I release certain things and talk about certain things, I can't fully process what I experienced, and subsequently can't fully be present in the new season and space that I'm in. So this is something that I'm using as a transitionary tool to help me sift through things that still feel like very liminal. So to put it plainly, because I don't want to speak in abstract, but coming from a creative freelance world where your art is connected to making money and to clients and to production, to moving into a space where you're thinking about theory and books and there's no like quantifiable way of showing up as an artist, until you actually have shows, or until like there's an amalgamation of things that have come together to create like a finalized work. You're just kind of in this space of like feeling a bit thrown off. And so the almost instant gratification, or the like producing and rewarding value, is so different when you're not in a space of freelance commercial work. And so this is the choice that I've made. I have made a decisive decision to be out of the hamster wheel of creative freelance and commercial work, and I stand by that decision. However, getting back into a space of making and thinking with confidence outside of external validation is very hard. And you don't realize like how much you were like pushing through and sort of numbing yourself out from the demand of it all until you get a break and you realize you're extremely exhausted and tired from the kinds of ways you showed up creatively. And none of it is something that I regret. I think everything is necessary. Commercial work is something that I'll probably end up going back to and working between at some point. So it's not a negative thing. It's just I didn't hold my creative passions in balance. I thought that one way of showing up creatively was my entire way of showing up creatively, and I sort of numbed myself out and was kind of in a space where I really thought maybe I don't have anything else to say as an artist and I should just drown myself in what other people need me to say or help them say creatively. And so I silenced my creative voice for a long time. And I think like the biggest lesson, there are many, and so I'll kind of try to make a video for each of those. And that's the series that I'm beginning. But the reality is that there's something that happens when you don't hold the nuance of what it is to be a creative at all times. And that is probably the biggest takeaway, biggest advice I'd give to anyone, is just hold your creative identities in balance and don't forsake other ways of showing up for a singular way of showing up. I don't care if you're a musician and you need to practice 12 hours a day every single day. I'm just like, you have at some point that well that you're like putting everything in, it's gonna crack, and at some point you may never want to do that thing again because you didn't hold certain things in balance while you were pursuing something. And so even if it's just a simple hobby for like 30 minutes a day, it's just important that you're able to not feel the pressure of showing up in a singular way as a creative for an extended period of time. Unless it's a theory that you're trusting and working on as an artist, then go ahead. But in general, just like in a regular creative day-to-day life, it's not a pattern and a way of showing up that I would recommend to people. So yeah, anyways, I'll stop there for now. I guess look forward to some of the videos that I record going through each of the 80 lessons that I learned during my 8 years as a creative freelancer and independent with a semi level of success. Bye.